Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this session. This is the 39th Annual CALLERLAB Convention. We're in Nashville, Tennessee. And this is Monday, April 2nd, 2012. The session that we're doing today is called CRaMS, which is an acronym for Controlled Resolution and Manipulation System, put together by Jerry Story, with a lot of help from Deborah and me to get it done. But Jerry could not be with us for this convention, so we are proceeding without him. On my left, who will be talking to you in a little bit, my lovely wife, Deborah Carroll-Jones. She's been calling 30 years now and started out born and raised in the Los Angeles area. And after we got married, or before we got married, she decided that she wanted to become a Texan. So I've been working with her really diligently for the past 11 years, trying to teach her how to talk properly. Would you mind giving a demonstration?
How's your mama name?
Now, for those of you who are not Southern and don't understand, she said, how is your mother and all the rest of your family? So, she's been doing pretty good. My name is Jon Jones, and I've been calling ever since I can remember, since 1955, as far as really being serious about calling. I've had the pleasure of traveling all over the world as a square dance caller in 24 different countries I've called in. And that's the reason I say that square dance calling is the only universal language in the world. Because we can communicate with square dancers anywhere. We don't have to speak their language, and they don't have to speak ours. Over on my right, our other panelist for today is Barry Johnson, and they have lived in the hills of Illinois. The lake is the name of the town. Lake in the Hills. Lake in the Hills is the name of the town in Illinois for the past 20 years. It's a distant suburb of Chicago, and yes, there really is a lake nestled in the hills within our town. Barry started dabbling with singing calls in 2003 and really began to take it seriously in 2008. His first time to try to do any sort of hash calling was in 2008 at the GSI Caller School before the National in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Deborah and I were two of the caller coaches at that school. Deborah was a coach in the session the first time he picked up the microphone, and he said, I was shaking so bad I could hardly put the needle down on the record. He regularly calls for a local mainstream club in his area and then booked as a guest caller at a plus level for several clubs each year throughout Chicago. Last summer, Anita and he were inducted into the Illinois State Square Dance Hall of Fame. Terrific. They're one of just 22 couples that have been inducted. Very active in the local association and state levels, and were the proposed general chairman for Chicago's attempted bid for the 2008 National Square Dance Convention. And it's nice to have Barry on the panel. And Barry has written 2 papers about CRaMS, and he submitted it to Jerry, and Jerry sent it to me, and Jerry and I both we edited and changed and added to and all this kind of stuff. And I think he's come up with 2 really good separate papers about what we're going to do. CRaMS is a system of calling that gives callers more to relationship than we ever have in the past. And what brought it to my mind was I didn't want to hear anything about it when we first started talking about it in 1998 when we did a caller school with Jerry. Just a little bit of history. And the callers had deer in the headlight look in their eyes, and Tony Oxendine and I got up and left the room because we didn't understand what he was talking about. In the following year, the same thing happened. I sat for about 30 minutes, and I still didn't understand it, so I left. And on the way to the venue the following year, he brought it up again, and I told him I didn't want to hear anything about it. I was tired of hearing about it. I didn't need to hear anything about it. I'd been very successful doing what I was doing as a sight caller for a very long time, and I didn't want to learn anything else. Well, then he asked me the question, heads if you would, square through 2, please, and right and left through. And he said, while you're sight calling, do you see this particular setup where you can do a pass through and a trade by to an alley man left? Do you sight callers see this? Shake your head up and down like this if you do, like acknowledging that you see that. I said, sure, I see it all the time. He said, if you do a slide through, please, you have a right-hand lady line in sequence. And all at once it dawned on me that that was something that I was not familiar with, that I probably should be. That opened my eyes and opened the door for me to start beginning to look at this kind of a situation. That the right-hand lady is something that a sight caller don't ever know where she is. Believe me, because I learned to sight call from the guy who invented it, and that was Les Gilcher, and I started sight calling in 1957. We never knew where the right-hand lady was unless we deliberately went to her. And then we did something memorized from there. But we can set it up with that right-hand lady. But look at the center 2 people in the line. Who are they? By golly, it's their partner, their pair. If you have the right-hand lady for a partner, who's in the corner slot? Your partner. Can't be anybody else unless you've called some asymmetric call or something of that nature or taken them out of sequence. A right-hand lady line in sequence and your original partner is in your corner position. Look at the 2 end people. Are they not paired up? Or would they not be paired up? They're looking at partner. All we'd have to do is use it. So a right-hand lady line get out that I learned in the very beginning, and Les Gilcher taught me this, square through 4, and this is way before we had trade by. Give her right to your partner, and you pull her by, and alley man left. And that was the get out that we used from a right-hand lady line in sequence. Now, make me a 0 line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, go back home, square your set, and I'm going to show you how to make a right-hand lady line. Head 2 ladies, it's your responsibility to hold on to your partner's hand and reach over and get your corner by the hand. Head ladies, it's your responsibility to hold on to your partner's hand and reach over and get your corner by the hand. Reach over and get his hand. Make him hold on to you. Now, back out beside your corner, right-hand lady. number 1 lady. Back out beside your corner with your partner. Make him go with you, and you've got a 0 line and make lines. Teach to your dancers, if the square breaks down, this is how you make a line. Because why? All of you can see the caller. If you make it at the head position, 4 of you cannot see the caller. You can look him, give him dirty looks or whatever. Get me back in the game, man. I'm ready to dance. Or a lady, whoever who might be calling. Magic module from the 0 line. Touch a quarter. Circulate. Boy, run. What do we have now? A 0 box. The magic module could convert from a 0 box to a 0 line. This is Bill Peters' magic module, the first one that he came up with. Swing through, in circulate, centers trade, centers run, bend the line, and we've got what now? A 0 line. That was the first magic module that Bill Peters wrote, to convert from a 0 box to a 0 line. The magic module that we use to go from partner setup, a 0 line to a 0 box, was the touch a quarter, circulate, boy, run, right? Everybody with me? Say yes, John, or something, let me know you're still alive. Take them out of sequence, right and left through. Use the same magic module, touch a quarter, circulate, boy, run, and I know that I'm looking at my right-hand lady. I do not have to guess anymore in that regard. It has changed my style of calling greatly over the last few years because of having some control, and much more control than I ever had as a sight caller. Because I was calling, regurgitating calls. Oh, I was good. I could go from any formation that we had in and out with mainstream calls and back and forth, and then I'd start hunting a get out somewhere. With this, I know a whole lot more about where I am. Slide through. But because I took them out of sequence a while ago, my brain has got to remember that I did, and I've still got them out of sequence. Are they not? So my mind, I know that they're out of sequence, but I've got my right-hand lady for a partner. Look in the middle of the square. Look across. The center people look straight across. Who are they looking at? Can't be anybody else. Look down the line from the end two people. Who is there? Partner. Sight callers never do this. We just call in whatever comes out of our mouth, and we've never looked down the line or across the hall or across the square, especially with the center people. But I know that I've got my right-hand lady, and I know I'm out of sequence. Here's my get out. Square through two. Right to your partner, pull by. Alley man left. And we're right back at home, and your set is square. That magic module of going from a zero box back to a zero line, what was it? Swing through, in, circulate, centers, trade, centers, run, bend the line. That's not too much to remember. I've known that ever since Bill Peters wrote it about 40 years ago. But let's take them out of sequence. Head square through two. And I'm doing it with the heads all the time. Certainly you can work the sides. I've taken them out of sequence. Watch what happens here. Swing through. In, circulate. Centers, trade. Centers, run. And bend the line. And I know that everybody's got their partner. It cannot be anybody else. But I also know what? I took them out of sequence to start the sequence, or start the routine, or the module, and I got to know that I've still got them out of sequence. Are you with me? Thank you. Thank you, Jay. All right. Pass through to home. I'm not going to go through the routine to get you there because you know where home is. Those are the kind of things that we as CRaMS callers start putting in our mind. Now, I will encourage you to go to the session with Mike Sikorsky tomorrow of his system of calling. They're very similar in many ways. And he's taken it, he's written 2 books about it. I encourage you to get those books and start studying them. One thing that really struck me good, and it's so very similar to CRaMS, heads make a zero box. Yeah. All right. Now, we're in a zero box in this situation. Everybody's facing corner, right? Correct? All right. Swing through. We've all called this 10 million times. Boys run. Ferris wheel. Centers pass through. And we're still looking at corner. Can't be anybody else, right? Let's disguise it. Touch a quarter. Now, I'm going to do the swing through, centers trade, and centers run, but I'm going to disguise it. Scoot back. Centers trade. Centers run. I'm not going to call Ferris wheel again. I'm going to call wheel and deal. Go. And guess who I'm looking at? Can't be anybody else but my original corner. She's right there in front of me. Slide through. Couple circulate. Bend the line. Who have I got for a partner? My corner. Do I have them in sequence? Yes, because I didn't take them out of sequence yet. They're still in. I still got them in sequence. Look in the middle of the line again. Who's with whom? Who's across from whom? Look down the line and who's on the opposite end of the line. The partner pairings, they can't be very far away. You've only got, the men only have 4 ladies out there to dance with. Callers keep saying, boy, I can really mess them up and you can't get them out. Oh, baloney. They can't go very far if they stay in the same square unless you call some kind of an asymmetric call or something of that nature to really mess it up where it's impossible to get out. So, right and left through. Slide through, and there's your corner alley man left. Or whatever, get out. You want to back up to home. Girls, push him home. All right. that is the simple part of the first step of an introduction to CRaMS. Now, I know I went through it in a hurry, but if you get the CDs and study these things little by little, it's like eating an elephant. You do it one bite at a time, and it'll eventually disappear. But it takes a long time. But if you say, oh, God, that's too big, I can't eat that thing, and you don't ever take a bite, it don't ever disappear. But it's really, really simple to do. Now I'm going to turn it over to Barry, and he's going to work. Do you want to change pennies?
If you wouldn't mind.
Let's change pennies, dancers, if you would, please, and use Barry's because he wants to use colors and no numbers.
And for those of you that, how many of you out there use Square View on your computer? Okay. Barry, you may or may not know this, but he has written several wonderful papers on how to use Square View to manipulate your program, to set up your playlist, to do it for dances, all this sort of thing. And what has been one of Barry's gifts is taking something that can look very confusing to, for example, me, and be able to put it into order and put a paper to where he puts the knowledge in your hands and makes it conceivable and easy to figure out. So we're very excited to have Barry's take on CRaMS this afternoon.
Now, one advantage that Barry has over Deborah and me is he had not learned to be a sight caller yet. And he didn't have to unlearn or try to scramble his brain to do it, so he's able to understand this a lot quicker than a lot of long-time experienced callers.
That's exactly the point I was going to make, John. No, that's a good thing. I'm a new caller, so it feels a little funny here because I know all of you have a lot more experience calling out there than I do. And I believe that all of you guys are better callers than I am. So why am I up here? I don't know. It's because I think when I was starting into this, I needed to find some simple ways to understand what was happening in the square. And as I looked around, I read everything I could about different systems. And finally, CRaMS is the one that I found to be the easiest to work with for me as a beginning caller. Some of you may have had been confused by CRaMS in the past. We're going to see if we can't straighten that out right here, right now. Okay, first question, though, before we get going. I need to make sure that everyone in this room has the skills necessary to use CRaMS. Okay, I got 3 questions for you. Answer the questions loud. We want to pick up your voice on that microphone right over there, so be loud. Okay, question number 1. When you call or when you write choreography, do you look at the dancers? Say yes. Yes. Okay, question number 2. Can you recognize partners in a corner? Say yes. Yes. Okay, question number 3. Can you count to 2? Say yes. Yes. All right. If you've answered yes to all 3 of those questions, you've got the skills you need to use CRaMS. Okay? Nobody in here, I hope, is going to waste your time because you can do all 3 of those things. Now, first thing we're going to talk about, guys, go ahead and have a seat for about a minute. Rest your feet, and then we're going to come right back up to you. Okay, first thing we're going to talk to, I'm going to ask you to trust me on one point here. I'm going to ask you to have some faith in what I'm telling you. It is true for the whole square, at any moment in time, one of 4 things is going to be true. Either, if you take the square, split it into 2 groups of 4 dancers, 2 men, 2 women, side by side. Either every man's partner is going to be in that same group of 4 with him. Or every man's opposite lady is going to be in the same group of 4 with him. Okay? Or every man's corner, or every man's right-hand lady. Okay, I did not believe this. When I started reading about CRaMS, I said, surely that's wrong. There must be more configurations, more different ways we can do this. I had some training in mathematics in undergraduate school, and so I actually I proved it to myself. It's one of the handouts you've got here. It's a thing that says, how many stations are there? If you're not a believer, go ahead, this paper's for you, because I proved mathematically there are no more combinations than that. It is true. Every man's partner is going to be close to him. Every man's corner, every man's opposite lady, or every man's right-hand lady. Anytime in the square, no matter what you do, as long as you're calling symmetric choreography, and as long as the dancers don't make a mistake. Okay, if they make a mistake, well, you look at a different square. Okay, so we're going to look at how to recognize these 4 states that there are. Okay, square, come on back up. Gave your legs a rest there for a moment. Now, you promised me that you could recognize partners in a corner. I want everybody to pick out corners. It would be best if the room was looking at all 4 corners, if everybody picked somebody different. So I don't care which corner you memorize, but figure it out right now, because we're going to come back to it. So I'm going to, okay. I've got these guys. Heads, lead right. Step to a wave and swing through. Okay, first question. In each ocean wave, how many matching colors do you see? 2. Say it again louder for the tape. 2. All right, very good. Anytime you see 2 matching partners anywhere in that group of 4, that group of 4 is in what we call the partner station. If you see 2 matches, you're in a partner station. No more needs to be said. Okay? Let's have the boys run, please. Couples circulate, and the centers hinge. Okay. How many, in each diamond here, in each group of 4, how many matches? 2. What station are we in? Partner. Has to be. Okay. But wait a minute. We just changed people. We just changed the people that were in our group of 4, didn't we? And we don't have people standing next to their partners. In fact, some people don't really have partners here. They're not standing next to anybody. Oh, wait, that's right. We don't care about that so much in CRaMS. When we're identifying the station, it doesn't matter what formation they're in. It doesn't matter what arrangement, boy, girl, boy, boy, girl. Doesn't matter what arrangement we're in. It doesn't matter what sequence we're in. Only thing that matters is the relationship. Anytime we see 2 matches, we're in the partner station. Okay, ladies hinge. All 8 circulate. Yeah, that's not. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I was thinking of something else whatever. All right. In each line here, how many matches do you see? 0. In each line of 4, we have no matches. Anytime that you see a group of 4 dancers with no matches whatsoever, you're in the opposite lady station. Here, I forgot to uncover these as we've been talking. Two matches means partners. 0 matches means you're in the opposite lady station. No more needs to be asked. Every man's opposite lady is somewhere in this group of 4. So let's see. Let's do a boys circulate, please. How many matches? 1 match. Okay, we have to go to an extra question. Let's make this easier. Wheel and deal. Now, remember your corner. You looked for a corner. You promised me you could recognize a corner. Do you see your corner in the group of 4? I've heard 1 yes. Mostly no's. I know I don't see my corners in the group of 4. They're spread across. Okay, corners we do not see. In fact, everybody was watching different corners. Nobody in this room sees a corner that they were looking for in this group of 4. Well, by golly, if you have 1 match and no corners at all, every man's right-hand lady is somewhere near. You're in the right-hand lady station. Well, that leaves us with just one other choice here. Pass through, please. Trade by. How many matches do we see? 1. Do we see our corners?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we do. This is the corner station. If you wish, do a right and left through. And Alaman left, promenade home. So these are the simple rules to recognize the 4 different stations. Let's try this again. Let's just go ahead and we'll call some stuff and see how it develops. Head star through. Pass through. Swing through. How many matches? One. Do you see a corner?
No.
What station are we in? Right hand lady. You got it. Perfect. All 8 circulate. That's better, isn't it? Okay. How many matches? Do you see a corner? No. We're still right hand lady. Centers trade. All 8 circulate. How many matches? One. Do we see corners somewhere in our group of 4? Yes, we're in the corner station. Wow. You guys are good. We've been talking about this 7 minutes. And you've already recognized lots of stations here. Okay, let's see. Let's have centers trade. Boys run. Couples circulate. And, oh gosh, now I've forgotten what I was going to do. Let's have Ferris wheel. And Deborah, do you remember in the very first caller school that we were at, I said something completely wrong and unexpected, and you warned me that every now and then, caller's going to get up on the mic and a toad is going to fall out. I've had my toad moment here.
That was based on an old German fairy tale about where there were 2 sisters, and one sister was a good sister, and one sister was not a kind and loving sister. And so this witch had given the good sister the quality that every time she opened her mouth to speak, pearls would fall out. And the sister that was not kind and loving, whenever she would open her mouth, toads would fall out. And that was the picture I had in my mind. I know there's no one out there that's probably ever experienced it, but you say something or something else comes out of your mouth than what your brain was trying to get your mouth to say, and I called that a toad. So his toad is it's right out there in the middle of the square right now.
All right. Let's have centers square through 3, if you would, please. And if I've done this right, we should be at corners, Alaman left. Yep. And promenade home. Okay, so we've seen the 4 stations. We know it's easy to recognize the partner station. You know that you can get into partner lines, 0 lines. You're used to telling if they're in or out of sequence. The corners, we're used to dancing with corners very often. We recognize that in CRaMS by seeing one matched couple with a corner present. You know that every corner will be present in that group. What we aren't so familiar with dancing is in the opposite lady station or in the right-hand lady station. But that's okay, because as long as you can recognize it and you can find your way out, we're all right. Let's take a look at how we can switch from one station to another. Let's go ahead and have the heads lead right, please. Veer left. Okay, now, we know that we're in the partner station here because we have 2 matches. If we do a couple circulate, go ahead and let's do that. Are we still in the partner station? Of course we are. Okay, every man took his partner over to the other group of 4. Let's see what happens if we do a centers trade. Now, this becomes interesting. Any call, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Every call will do one of 3 things to a group of 4. Some calls will leave all 4 dancers in that group of 4, will they not? A right and a left through, flutter wheel, all these kinds of things. They don't change who is in the group. So if you don't change who is in the group, the station must remain the same, no matter what you do with that call. Some calls will change 2 dancers across, like this one, couples circulate. We're changing 2 dancers in our groups of 4. In this case, we went from the partner station. How many matches do we have now? None. We went to the opposite lady station by changing 2 dancers across the square. Okay, let's try out, let's have the centers trade once again for me. All couples circulate. Now, as we look down the line, we still have 0 matches. Okay, one more time, centers trade. I'll get out of this yet. Couples circulate. Here we go. This is what I wanted to see. How many matches do we see now? Two. Okay. So a call that takes two dancers from one group of four to the other is going to take you across from one station to the station that's opposite of it. From partner to opposite lady, or from opposite lady back to partner, depending on whether you're taking your lady with you or not. You have a question, sir?
It seemed that sometimes it did that, but other times it left you in the same station.
Absolutely. That's such a good question. I have a gold star for you. Okay, I'm going to put that right up there. Center straight for me. Let me show you the difference there. Now, right now, this is easy to see in the partner station because each man has his partner. I'm going to call that, you've got your station lady with you. You're in the partner station and you have your partner there. Let's do our couple circulate. Because you're taking your station lady with, we don't change the station at all. Right? If we were in corners and you had your corner by the hand and we did a couple circulate, every man's still going to have his corner there. It's when we don't have the station lady and we do that two couples across, that's when we go to the station that's opposing. All right? Let's take a look at one other interesting thing. We're going to do a call that exchanges one dancer from each group of four. Let's just have the boys circulate, the ends circulate. Now, how many matches do we have? One. Do you see your corner? No. So we went from the partner station to the right-hand lady station. We went once around the outside edge here. Any call that exchanges one dancer between the two groups of four will move you around the outside here in one direction or the other. And we'll talk more about which direction it is. So that's really the rule. A call that changes 0 dancers leaves the station alone. Any call that changes one dancer will move you one notch around the outside. Any call that changes 2 dancers will either leave you in that station or go to the one opposite. Okay, so let's try once more. Let's have the girls circulate. Okay, there we went from right-hand lady back to partner. We just did one. Let's bend the line, please. Past the ocean. Spin chain through. How many dancers are we moving? One. Right answer. Very good. So that's going to change our station. We're going to go from partner to either corner or right-hand lady. How many matches? One. Do you see your corner present? Yes. Yes. So we went from the partner off to the corner station with the spin chain through. Now, can you think of other calls that trade one dancer between a group? Somebody give me a name. AC Ducey does. Spin chain and yes, spin chain exchange the gears, trades one dancer across. All 8 circulate from a column. The column circulate, trades one dancer across. All of these calls can be used to move your station around the outside edge here. It doesn't have to be that magic module that we talked about. The magic module happened to include a circulate. That's the thing that made the magic. That one circulate. The rest of it was restoring state to what you expected. But from a CRaMS perspective, it's only calls that move dancers between groups of 4 that make a difference. Okay, somebody give me the name of a call that moves 2 dancers across. Spin chain the gears moves 2 dancers across. Yes, at the plus level. Track 2 does. That took me days to figure out. I told you you're a better caller than I am. All 8 circulate moves 2 dancers across. Ferris wheel, trade by, all of these calls move 2 dancers across. All of these calls will take your station, either keep it the same if you're carrying your station lady with you, or move you to the opposing station. Any of those calls will do that trick. Okay, go ahead, square your set for a moment. We're moving along. I know this is late in the day, so I'm not going to belabor that point a whole lot. Some of you know, you might say, Barry, what you're talking about is just fine if I can recognize all 4 dancers, all 4 couples in the square. I know as a new caller, I can't do that. There's a lot of times when I can only recognize two of the couples in the square. I'd like two of you couples next to each other take your vests off. I don't care who takes it off. Okay, we're losing the green and the fluorescent orange. All right. We still have two couples, though, that we can recognize. Let's see what happens. See if we can recognize some stations. Head star through. Pass through. Right and left through. Okay, if we open our eyes a little bit wider, we might have to look more at both groups of four at the same time. The questions are the same. How many matches do you see? One. Do you see a corner? No. What station are you in? Right-hand lady. Absolutely right. Pass through, please. Trade by. How many matches do you see? One. Do you see a corner? Yes. What station are you in? Wow, you guys are good. This took me days, and you got it figured out already. Swing through. Centers trade. Ends circulate. We'll play mainstream for a moment. How many matches? Two. As we open our eyes a little bit wider, as we look at both groups of four, we see that there are two matches there. As we're looking across both groups at the same time. If we see two matches, what station are we in? Partner. As it turns out, every man's partner is in his group of four. In fact, they all happen to be holding on to each other, but that's okay. Wow. Okay. Let's have all 8 circulate. How many matches do you see? None. No matches within a group of 4. What station are we in? Opposite lady. How did we get there? We moved 2 dancers across the floor. And we deliberately went from partner to opposite lady. Holy cow, wait a minute. This count to 2 thing, looking for matches, counting to 2, recognizing if there's a corner present if needed, that works even if you only recognize 2 couples in one corner. Wow. Okay, let's see. I think that's all we need right now for the demonstration square. These guys have been up on carpeting for a moment. Go ahead and take a break if we need to. We'll call you back up in just a minute or get somebody different up. So what we've seen so far, we've seen that you can recognize the station that your dancers are in easily on the fly. Now, when I first started looking at this, when I first started hearing presentations, I thought that the caller had to be so good at recognizing partners that you could just glance at a square and automatically know how many matches there were. And I could never do that. I mean, if I had the dancer stop and wait, and I went, okay, he's with him and he's with her, and that's okay, there's 2 matches. Yeah, okay. If I had them stop and wait, I could count it, but it took me a few seconds. And I asked around about this. I said, how do you guys do this? How do you check it out so very fast? The answer was the big guys don't do it any faster than I did. Instead, what you can do, suppose you've got you've got facing couples, as you're trying to count matches, call a simple 0. Swing through, boys run, Ferris wheel, pass through. That's about 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, as those dancers are moving, and you've got this kind of brainless choreography going on in your mind, you have time to find the matches and to count them up. You can say, oh, I have 2 matches. Okay, I must be in the partner station. Okay, if that doesn't work, right and left through, veer left, bend the line, flutter wheel, reverse the flutter. Take as much time as you need calling these simple calls while you're counting up the number of matches that you see and asking yourself a question. 2 matches, I'm in partner station. 0 matches, I'm with my opposite lady. 1 match, do I have a corner or do I not have a corner? Okay, that's it. So and knowing that a call that moves 0 dancers doesn't change the station, a call that moves 1 dancer from a group of 4 to the other will always move you around the outside edge so that you've got a hint as to where you're going next. And a call that moves 2 dancers will either keep you there or move you to the opposing station. If you can remember that much, if that is all you get out of this presentation, you have enough to start using CRaMS in your calling every day. That's all you need to get started. That's it. So, do you look at the dancers? Say yes. Can you recognize partners? Say yes. Can you count to 2? Can you use CRaMS? Yes. Okay. I bet you didn't think you were going to say that when you walked in the door here. So we can go on. There are a number of tips and tricks. We've got another half hour to talk, don't we? Deborah wants to talk. Can I have another 5 minutes? Okay. We have some other tips and tricks and things that come in handy. Once you know these rules, then these other pieces start to come out and be useful. So if you're in a suppose you're in the stations I find kind of interesting are these ones that have just one couple matching, because there's some tricks you can do. First question: if I'm in one of these one match stations, either one, how do I know if I've got my station lady by the hand as a partner? How do I know if I've got my corner as a partner? Corner's not so bad, but recognizing if you have the right-hand lady as a partner. How do you know for sure? And the answer is, if your one matched couple is a couple, you don't have the right lady. You've got the wrong lady. If your one couple that matches is not partners, then every man's going to have his right-hand lady or his corner. Now you can work that out. If you don't believe me, you can work it out. I tell you this is true. Okay? So if you want to launch a get out, and you want to launch a get out from the right-hand lady station, you know there's going to be one match. If you want the right-hand lady as a partner, just make sure your matched couple is not partners, and you are set to go. Okay? Might have to worry about sequence depending on what the get out is, but that's okay. That's easy to see. If you want to switch from one of these one match stations to a partner to an opposite lady station, and you want to control where you're going, you don't want to just guess. You know that you're going to make a call that moves one dancer to the other group of 4, and you just named off any one of several different calls that'll go. If you'd like to go to the partner station, then make sure that that one dancer you're sending across is not one of your matched couples. Send one of the other dancers across. You will get back the partner to the other person that's remaining. Because if we know we're going from, say, the corner station to either partner or opposite, if you keep your matched couple together in your group of 4, then we have to be down here in partner. Because if we went to opposite lady, there's no matches, but you kept one there. I don't know if that makes sense to people. Yeah, it is making sense to you. So if you want to switch from either corner or right-hand lady, send one dancer out that isn't your matched pair, isn't in your matched pair. I guarantee you will go to partner. Or if you want to go to opposite lady, because that's the station dancers never ever see, break up your matched couple. Send one of your matched couple across to the other group of 4. And you are guaranteed to have everybody in the opposite lady station. It's just that easy? Wait a minute. If I'm with corners or right-hand ladies, all I have to do is keep my matched couple, the ones I can recognize, together or split them up? Yeah, it is that easy. Holy cow. If as a rookie caller, if I can use this, imagine what magic it's got to be in your hands. I know you guys can just do some wonderful, wonderful things. If you're in the partner station and you want to switch to either corner or right-hand lady, if you find the corner that you know, they're going to be in different groups of 4 at this point. All you have to do is bring that corner into your group, and you will be in the corner station. Any call that changes one dancer, if you're in the partner station, any call that exchanges one dancer, if you can bring the corner that you know into the group here, you're guaranteed to be switching to the corner station. Conversely, if you bring the other dancer that isn't a corner into your group, you're guaranteed to be switching to the right-hand lady station. So let's get this straight. Suppose you're working on a sequence with dancers and you want to practice it a couple times and you want to make sure everybody gets a chance to use it. How can CRaMS help you out? Get started. Get yourself established in some station. Call your module. Call your sequence. Do your thing. And then you consciously take the dancers from whatever station they are into some other one. I particularly like going to the stations that are opposing because that changes the most number of people in the group. And then you do your sequence over again. But you've got different dancers. It feels very, very different. But yet you've retained, you know exactly where they are. And if you don't remember, if you had a brain cramp, if a toad fell out of your mouth and your module didn't work, you have the skills to look at the stations, to look at the dancers, to count the number of matches, and find yourself, find where you are again. You can recognize which of the stations you're in, and you know how to control yourself, take yourself back to the corners if you wish. Wow. You can recognize dancers. You can look at the dancers. You can recognize partners in a corner. You can count to 2, and you know the tools to move you around the different stations. That's the kind of magic that these guys can do instinctively. For us rookies, this is opening up the black box. There are all kinds of tools in this tool chest. So there's more stuff available in the papers that we didn't talk about here or that I haven't talked about so far. Deborah would like some time. It's all yours, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barry. That was a fascinating look at it. The thing when we first started working or trying to work with CRaMS is that Jerry Story has been calling for nearly 40 years. And any one of us who say, I've been calling for 40 years, I think with Jerry calling so much, it's like he's been calling 140 years in those 40 years. All right? So he's had lots and lots and lots of experience behind the mic. And a lot of this that he could see came to him very easily. And my frustration with trying to communicate this, because I knew this was a diamond, but how do I get my hands on this so that I can do anything with it? And it was like a kindergartner trying to have a conversation with a PhD doctor, okay? So I kept asking, Jerry, could you talk to me like I'm about 10 years old? So he'd simplify it down a little bit, and then I'd go, Jerry, could you talk to me like I'm about 8 years old? Finally, I got, Jerry, could you talk to me like I'm 2? Just break it down to its smallest component. And I think that Barry has done a brilliant job of doing this, because by the inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard. So we want to put this into its smallest component so that we can kind of get our teeth into it. Now, how many of you use predominantly modules as your choreographic tool of control? Okay. Have many of you use mental image? All right. How many of you use sight? Okay, most of us have done that. Now, when I started calling 30 years ago, the area in which I was learning to call was Southern California, and sight calling had kind of exploded on the scene at that point in time, and the guys that were helping train me and work with me, God love them, they pushed me right away. You've got to get your teeth into this sight calling, man. You've got to get a hold on this. So I started as writing my choreography, you guys hopefully have all done that. We sit and we push the little checkers, and now you have the computer and you write your little sequences. And I went from writing and reading to sight calling. There was something I missed in the middle, and what would that have been? Modules. Okay, I never got any modules. So that left a hole in my calling repertoire. And I watched people like Tony and like Jerry and like the guys that are really busy and really popular, and I'd watch them work, and I'd see the front couple of squares crash, and they would keep calling, and they would still be able to resolve the rest of the floor correctly. And I just could not figure out how they could do that. That, to me, was magic. So using this system, we finally got Jerry to define, sort of, what it was that he was doing, and we're still trying to fine-tune it and get it to where we can get a hold of it. Now, when I went from being a reading caller to being a sight caller, I did not do that in the blink of an eye. All right, I had my cards. My cards worked. I could rely on my cards, and I knew that they were not going to let me down. Unless, what? I misread it, okay? Forgot a line, so to speak. Or that perhaps what I wrote was too easy or too difficult for the crowd that I had that night. Okay, so there were a lot of limitations in that. And but I knew they worked. They were like a crutch, and I was scared to let those cards go, man. I knew those worked. So what I did was I told myself, okay, second tip, 2 sequences you're going to cite, and then you can go back to your cards. So I would do that, and I would go back to my cards. And it was maybe 2 weeks later, I said, okay, now 3 sequences. Pretty soon it was the whole second tip. Then it was half of the first tip and the whole second tip. And pretty soon I began to get to where I could lay my cards aside, and I was able to control the floor for the most part with sight calling. The biggest caveat with sight calling I found is that I was relying on the skill of the dancers to hold me up. So if they had a problem or my pilot squares crashed, what happened to me? Did I know where I was? Not a chance in the world. Well, I didn't like that feeling. Any of you ever had that feeling? Okay, yeah, all right. What liar out there has not had that feeling? I know you have. I know it's happened to every one of us. I don't like that feeling. I wanted to have better control. So when we began working with Jerry on this, Jerry could see opposite lady, and Jerry could see right-hand lady very, very easily. Why? Because he's been using this system for 40 years. John could, for whatever reason, he could identify opposite lady. I could not identify opposite lady. It was the last thing I ever did on God's earth. And I was afraid, but he had some really cool get-outs for opposite lady. Now, as a sight caller, could I use those get-outs? No, because I couldn't see it. I couldn't recognize it. If you can't see it or recognize it, you can't use those get-outs. So I finally got that far, and John was explaining to me, here's how you identify opposite lady, which, as a sight caller, I was going, why do I need to? I can go back to partner. I can go back to corner. I don't need to worry about her. But there was some couple of cool get-outs that I wanted to be able to use. So doggone it, how am I going to do that? Well, what I figured out is what Barry explained to you guys at the beginning was if I start with partner, I can see partner, and I can take myself over to opposite lady. And I did that by writing modules. All right, there I thought, I know I need some more of those in my repertoire. So I started writing little modules that would take me from a place I could see and was very comfortable being to another place that most of the time I couldn't see at all. Well, the most that when I did that, the more I did that, all of a sudden I would begin to recognize it when it just happened as I was calling along. Oh, they've got opposite lady. Now, I wouldn't stop there and use the get out. I might want to take them back over to partner, whatever I was doing, but I began to see it. And this was like healing the blind as far as I was concerned, that I could finally start to identify these things. And another thing I started to do that CRaMS really helped me with was I wanted to come up with some pretty cool get-outs. Jon and I would be driving down the road, going to a dance. And I told him one day, I want a get-out that's a square through 2, trade by, right and left grand. That's the get-out I want to use. Now, where do I have to be to launch that get-out? So I had to start with the right and left grand and do what? I had to work backwards, all right? So we tried to do it in our heads as we're driving down the road, and we're just going like this. So I finally said, I can't do it. I can only get so far in my head. So I got out paper and pencil and diagrammed where I need. I said, I know where I need to be. Opposite lady line, out of sequence, half sashayed. Now, what do you think my chances are of being able to just identify that on the fly as I'm calling? Nothing. None. Zero. I am not going to be able to see that. But I could make that because I could start with partner and I would go over there. All right? And the little module that I wrote, I've got partner lined, I'm in sequence, and here was my module. Past the ocean, and what have I just done with that? Gone from in sequence to out of sequence. Okay. All 8 circulate. Everybody has opposite lady by the hand. Okay? Recycle. Now I'm back in sequence. Veer left, bend the line, right and left through, and half sachet. Okay? That was a nice flowing module. I liked that. All right? I used that for a while. And then I began to think there has to be a quicker way to get there. Okay? I really shouldn't have to go through all that. So, but I don't want to do that as I'm calling. So, again, I'm back to my checkers, I'm back to my diagrams, and I'm looking. All 8 circulate. All right, I've got her by the hand. And I went, dirt. Girls run, bend the line. Hello. There I am. But did the other one now not have value? No. It just gave me 2 ways to get to that same place so that I can use the get out, square through 2, trade by, right and left grand, and the floor goes, wah, long as I can lead them through it. And they're comfortable with doing that half sashayed trade by. All right? So that is one of the things that CRaMS has done for me. And now as I have gotten to where I am creating these stations, I am now getting more and more comfortable with recognizing them. Now, have I completely given up sight calling and become a pure CRaMS caller? The answer to that is no, I have not. I still use sight, and once in a while, you know what? I got a stack of notes in my case, and those notes have get outs on them or get ins or some slick little thing that I want to remind myself, and I'm not having to read it. I can look down and scan it, remind myself, okay, get that out of the Rolodex up to the front of the brain where it can be used, and I can go from there. But I'll tell you something, kids, if I go into a new place and I'm looking out at dancers, and even though they've got colors on, if I don't know those people, it's kind of hard sometimes for me to count to 2. All right, so I'm going to start with stuff I know. So I'm going back with my modules, and I'm going with things that I know until I start to recognize these folks. And then I can start drifting out a little bit into CRaMS, because with CRaMS I always know where I am. And then I can start going out into sight and coming back, and going out to sight and coming back. And that gives me much better control, and it has also, I think, made me a more interesting caller to dance to choreographically. Because I can now create those stations and those places that there was no way that I could see or recognize before. And that has really helped me a lot with CRaMS, using CRaMS to do that. Now, we want to open it up to questions, because I know none of us have given the magic presentation that's made all the pennies fall down the chute for you. So we're going to turn it over to Jon, and then we're going to have you guys take the mic.
The pennies that we're using, we were using them out in California at the school that we did before the National in Anaheim, and I think we had about 55 callers in the school, and one lady that was in there, and we divided the callers up into various groups, and every group had a set of pennies. And then when we got back together after the first session, she said, I cannot wait to get home to make all of my dancers wear those. So she could keep up with them all wearing numbers in the square. All right, we have questions from you guys. Fire at us.
Or if you've had a
comment or
situation
add to
where you've
or whatever,
used
anything
CRaMS and it has worked or it hasn't worked.
Here's over here.
Oh, yes, let me come over here and get Keith.
Keith Ferguson, Saratoga, California. I started using this a little bit, what I call really simple CRaMS, about 2 years ago, and it has been wonderful. I call for a group that's a little more than half single, so they're switching partners all the time. Even the couples often switch partners. There are times when I have trouble remembering one couple. But maybe I can pick out somebody I know always dances together. As long as you use, say you track in your mind, I'm in a right-hand lady station or a corner station, all I have to know is one couple. I don't even have to know who the corner is, as long as I know I'm in one of those two. If I know I'm in a partner or an opposite, then what I have to know is one corner. In that case, I don't have to know who a partner is, as long as I know that much. So that's part of what I wanted to say. The other thing is the place where I often get in trouble, usually after the club president gets up and makes 10 minutes worth of announcements. I have lots of time to study the squares, but instead I'm listening to the announcements. And so I start calling, and, heads past the ocean, extend, hinge, follow your neighbor and spread, fan the top. I wonder who was paired with who and who was what. So you look around the floor, and you pick out one couple that you know is probably dancing as partners, and you can resolve. So.
What was the question that Wayne Morvant asked you, Jon, about as sight calling versus mental image, which CRaMS uses a lot of mental image?
Give me a square.
Okay.
Give me a square real quick.
Moan, people. Need a square.
You don't have to put on pennies. Just jump in right quick. Everybody follow. Pick out somebody. Pick out couples. Identify, because you ain't going to be wearing pennies all day long. All right. I always I try my best to look at number 1 and number 4. That's the way Les Gocher taught me. And I sight call by looking at 3 different squares. Because if 1 or 2 of them break down, I got another one to go to. And you can't figure out which 3 I'm watching because I'm looking all over the floor and I pick out the dancers that I want to. So it makes me look. I don't call to this square. And so you got to pick it out immediately when they get up on the floor to be able to identify them. Heads square through 2. And a right and a left through. And if you're in a situation like this as a sight caller, and these 2 on this side right here, you 2 ladies exchange places, and you saw them make a mistake.
Do you see what just happened? Okay.
We saw them make a mistake, and I don't have any idea who these people are over here except that one man. He's the only one I recognize and know in that group over there. And Wayne Morvant said, could you still resolve the square if you're in that situation? And I said, no. I have no idea because I don't know any of those other 3 people. Because they were not part. I only know that one man because he was only the one part of the 2 couples that I'm watching as a sight caller. Mm-hmm. And if I'm sight calling and I do swing through, no, yeah, boys trade, girls trade, boys trade, boys run, bend the line. I know where that one man is, but I ain't got any idea who those other 2 women are. That man either. Yeah, I know she's off over here, but I saw them make a mistake over here on this side.
Yeah.
And I don't have any idea. I don't know whether I've got him with his opposite or his right-hand lady. I have no idea as a sight caller. And he said, can you still resolve the square? And I said, no. And that's when we started looking at CRaMS. Pardon me?
No, because see, half
Yeah,
of the square
but
the
look who
ladies
he's going
traded,
to
but that
alley
half
man
they
left
didn't.
with. But I could still, can I resolve the rest of the floor? Yeah, but I don't know that as a sight caller. I've called all kinds of stuff, and I don't have any idea. Let's have, do a flutter wheel. And a right and a left through. Now I still don't know. Because I don't know those other three people over there. And that's where CRaMS came in to teach me how to learn to keep control of it. Are you with me? Everybody understand what I'm talking about?
Would you see it easier if they had on pennies?
Yeah, but we ain't got time. We're going to have to quit here in just a minute. Got to take a break.
Do this all
right,
day.
boys reverse flutter. Lead the reverse flutter, not necessarily boys. Now square through two and trade by, and everybody else can do an alley man left, a proper alley man left, but this square is going to stop and look at me because I missed the corner.
Because two of those ladies are
I missed it for two couples over here because they're messed up and they ain't got their partner back. You two ladies chain back.
Let me get you the microphone back here. We have a comment or a question.
John, could we have a square, have the head star through?
Sure.
And spread and pass through and wheel and deal. Centers pass through. Now, what kind of station are you at?
Do you recognize anybody in the group? Who are you looking at, Jake? Do you know who you've been looking at? Are you looking at number one and his partner? Do you see him? Do you see his partner? Okay. There's the secret. You got to concentrate to start with before you start setting up something in this regard, because what I see right now is I see a partner pairing. And they're looking at each other. There's one match in there, and they're looking right at each other. So I'm going to pair them up. I'm going to pair up somebody that I know. Star through. We've actually got a right-hand lady station going at this particular point right here. Is everybody with me? All right. Couples circulate. Bend the line. I'm in a rubber band situation right now. I've still got a right-hand lady station, but I rotated them around the square, and the dancers don't know that. They have no idea. They ain't supposed to know. It's my job, my responsibility. But I know that my corner's not over there with that number one man, but I know his partner is. And I know that number two man is number four man is standing there in the same group of four. Is everybody with me on that? And I know where that number four man's partner is, and I know he's got his opposite because his partner's diagonally across from him. You got to be thinking your brain got to be going like a computer when you're doing this, and not wandering off or guessing. Guesswork ain't going to work. Is this a Dixie Grand line? Yep.
Do you know why we refer to it as a Dixie Grand line?
I'm a rookie. No.
Okay. The reason we refer to it as a Dixie Grand line, and that's caller speak, okay, is because with this setup, with the matched couple on the right end of the line, and over here is whom? Corner, okay? If we did don't do it yet, dancers. If we did a pass through with a wheel and deal, you would go right into a Dixie Grand for the correct resolution. So it just became that we refer to it as a Dixie Grand line.
Now let me go ahead.
Again, the right-hand couple is the one that's matched, and the left-hand couple is not.
The right-hand couple is paired, and the other ain't. But where's the corner? Where's your corner? Where's that number one man's corner? Standing right beside him. She can't be anywhere else if we got that. So my brain thinks if I can do a pass-through, wheel and deal, zoom, and square through three-quarters to an alley man left, I've got a Dixie Grand line. That's the way my brain thinks.
Now let me tell you how Jerry Story's brain thinks. Whoa!
Well, if you can, you're going to be a miracle worker, I'll tell you for sure.
Because that's what I saw, Dixie Grand line. Jerry's going, Deborah, you have a right-hand lady station right there. And I said, what? No, I don't. I'm looking linear. I know what I've got. Okay. And he said, you don't just have to look linear. Look across. If corners go in this way, who has to be this way? Oh my God. Who does it have to be, guys? The one that we are, that we don't play with very often? Right-hand lady. If you've got corner in the line, across from you must be right-hand lady.
Right, the opposite lady from the corner. That's exactly right, Henry. You're thinking correctly.
Yes, John too.
All right.
Okay, that's how Story's brain works. Okay, I didn't see that.
Well, if you change somebody, you
then
change
you've
partners,
changed,
you
then
done
you've
set up
changed
a
it.
whole new
a whole
ball
nother
game
thing.
again. Huh? But watch this. Now, dancers, remember where you are. Two ladies chain, straight across. What did I change? Nothing. I've still got a right-hand lady station straight across from me. But I don't have a corner station. She's gone. I sent her off over yonder on the other. I don't have no idea where she went. She went off.
Right-hand lady in the lines as well as in the boxes.
Got my right-hand lady in the line and the box, too. Yes, Henry.
Yeah, so from this point, if you did a right and left through, are you back in your Dixie Grand line?
No.
Okay, the question, wait a minute.
I got to pair up somebody, Henry.
Henry's question was not on the mic.
The question wasn't on the mic. I'm sorry. Put it on the mic, Henry.
Henry Grissett from Los Angeles. If you do a right and left through, are you going to have your Dixie Grand line again?
No, because I did a two ladies chain and took them away from each other. Now, the reason Henry's asking these questions, he's almost blind. And he's legally blind. You think CRaMS ain't going to be a big help to him in his calling? He don't have to be.
He doesn't have to quit calling.
He can't be a sight caller. And I'm not making fun of Henry in any regard.
S-I-T-E.
S-I-T-E.
S-I-T-E caller, which is but CRaMS caller. Yeah, that's great.
We've known him for a long time. But these kinds of things are what is really good for somebody like Henry. It's knowledge of knowing where you are. But the two ladies chain, remember, I took them out. So I've got to get her back and put them back in the same place. Reverse flutter. And that automatically brought her right back to that paired up couple right back to where I had them to start with. Now I'm back in that Dixie Grand line. Pass through. Wheel and deal. And the way I see it, as I said a while ago, a zoom and a square through 3/4 will bring me out of this at mainstream. At plus, Dixie Grand. Go. Uno, dos, tres. Alley man. To home. Question or comment from anybody? Jay, did I answer your question? Okay.
Okay, and we're just about
anybody
out of time.
Anybody? Are you trying to get me to say adjourned? Does anybody understand what we're talking about? Does it make sense to any of you?
We hope. Good.
Did anybody come in not understanding and you understand better now?
Oh, thank you. Good.
Hope so.
Good.
Sure hope so. Thank you all very much for coming.
Nice
hand for our panelists.
Wonderful. Thank you, John.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody.